Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Thursday, new video. I post every Monday through Friday. New stuff every day. So let's get straight into it. First off, let's take a moment to remember everyone. It is 9/11. All the events that unfolded 24 years ago. Prayers up to everyone and everybody. America's still healing to this day. One of the worst tragic events has ever happened. And also just reeling off the events from yesterday. A lot of stuff is going on, so everyone, we need to be closer. We need to be together as much as we can to help this country heal. But after that, let's get straight into it. Starting with Tyrese Haliburton's new Movado campaign. Now, this is pretty good because the Pacers aren't a big market. As big as Indianapolis is itself, it's been one of the smallest markets in the NBA forever. Now, a lot of stars don't really come here, but when we do have a star, we want to promote them. So back when we had Paul George, promoted the heck out of Paul George, Oladipo, Sabonis. Now we got Haliburton. And he's doing this campaign with other big names, such as Ludacris, such as Christian McCaffrey. So he's able to be in this campaign with some of the absolute biggest stars. And we've seen these companies utilize big names to kind of push their product and everything, which is usual, obviously. But now we get players on small markets that are being brought into all this. Now, obviously, McCaffrey, when he was in Carolina, he was being pushed around in campaigns because of how good he's always been. But now he's back in a big market. He's now with San Francisco. But now with Haliburton, we just have, all these people in small markets that are going to be wanting to watch the Pacers more. Pacers hopefully can get more fans, more people seeing how successful this team truly is. Whether or not obviously he's not going to play this year. But, just seeing this happen to people in the Pacers. Because we don't get any recognition. Obviously, this is going to happen when you lead a team to the first finals in 25 years. So let's keep on pushing it. But now I kind of want to transition into something I've been wanting to talk about. The Sixers are kind of in the no man's land right now. They don't know what's going on. So obviously they have Tyrese Maxey, who is going to be their star. But they also are kind of torn between what else is going on. Embiid is not even sure if he can play basketball anymore at this point. His knees are just done for. Paul George has just lowered that level, and he's also never healthy. And then Jared McCain, players like Adam Bona, they have futures. But is it going to be with Philly? I'm not 100% sure. So then this brings me to two players that are kind of out of that loop a little bit. And the first one is Kelly Oubre. Now, Kelly Oubre is a guy who's averaged 20 points a game in his career before. He's a guy who's been a very good scorer on multiple teams, multiple playoff teams. Back when the Wizards had John Wall and Bradley Beal, and he was pretty much the third best player on that team, kind of along with Otto Porter. But Oubre is someone who still has it. Obviously, he's a little bit inconsistent. A lot of big scorers are. But Oubre is also someone that isn't going to need to be on a huge contract. He did sign a very short small contract with the Sixers a couple years ago because for some reason no one else was picking him up because they thought he was asking for too much money, but then he ended up signing that small deal with the Sixers. He's been pretty good with them. But now he kind of falls back because of the emergence of Quentin Grimes and how good he's been playing in Philly. So Oubre's kind of a buyout / trade candidate, and it wouldn't hurt to see him in a Pacers uniform. So this is just kind of my explanation to see how these players, and I'm going to talk about another player here in a second, and you guys can obviously see it on the side. But the Sixers are in just such a weird spot that we can talk about players from the Sixers potentially coming to Indy, whether it's a buyout, whether it's a trade. And that second player is someone that I would absolutely love to see in Indy. Now, don't get me wrong, he has some really funny interviews saying that he actually missed on purpose just to grab more rebounds, but that's besides the point. This is the best rebounder in recent history, and it's that plain and simple. Even off the bench, you'll catch him grabbing 10 to 15 boards. One of the best rebounders in NBA history. If he played in the If he were to play in the 70s or 80s, Drummond would have averaged 20 rebounds a game. That's just how good at rebounding he is. Fights for every board. You don't really see him losing boards to anybody. He's also a guy that's not going to ask for a big contract. He's been a role player for the past few years, ever since he left Detroit. He was still a starter in Cleveland. He was still a starter in LA, and kind of just back and forth in LA. Brooklyn, kind of that role player status, and he's also played obviously for Philly. He's been around the league recently over the last few years. Oh, and Chicago. He was big in Chicago. But what was the consistency of him in every team? Always had a rebounding force, especially off the bench. When you get to the bench and you go see people's like per 36 stats, look up Drummond's per 36 stats ever since he became a role player. They're out of this. His rebounding stats are out of this world. They're just insane. Because obviously he's not a guy who's going to play 36 minutes unless someone like Embiid is injured. And Embiid's obviously going to be injured, so we might see him start. We might see other players start. But I wouldn't mind Drummond at all in Indy. I know we have a little bit of a center, overflow. But, give him that minimum and make him compete with Tony Bradley. And I would take Drummond over Bradley, especially with the veteran presence. So we'll see where that goes. And then last but not least, I kind of just want to give my takes on the expectations for another center. This one is Jay Huff. I just expect him to come out and ball. I don't have any crazy expectations. I'm not going to say, he's got to average 15 and 10 with 2 blocks. No, because I don't even think he's going to be a starter. Now, off the bench, yeah, he can average close to 10. He can average close to 4 or 5 rebounds, and he can average close to a block and a half. That's more doable. But I just kind of want to see someone who over exceeds his expectations. Now, we don't place crazy expectations on him because he is new to this team, and he's not exactly being brought in as a star. Now, he's already getting along with other teammates. We've already seen his crazy workouts with the reverse dunks and everything. So we know he's ready. We know he's ready to play. And hopefully he has found his home in Indy, just because he's kind of been around the league for the past few years, with the Wizards, Lakers, Grizzlies, and the Nuggets. But now he comes to Indy, whole different scenario that he's coming into, because he's going to get minutes. He is going to get minutes. If there's any injuries, he's going to start. He might even start at the beginning. Who knows when Isaiah Jackson will be fully ready to start. Same with Wiseman. But he's going to be splitting those reps in the bench with Wiseman. And I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what Jay Huff can do. Like I said, I'm not expecting him to be Miles Turner right away. I'm not expecting him to be Sabonis. I'm just expecting him to be the Jay Huff that we know he can be. And it's that simple. I think he'll have a good season, a good career in Indiana. But even if not, even if he ends up being a trade candidate, still, this, like I said before, this was a low risk, high reward kind of trade. So that's all I have for that. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go, Sirs.